legal representative is a statutory role in a legal entity in China. So if you are a foreign company with a subsidiary in China, you will have a legal representative in your legal entity here. Now, one of the issues I see is that foreigners who reside overseas, who don't reside in China, are often put into that role, giving headquarters the feeling that it has control over significant transactions in China that require the signature of the legal representative. The legal representative is obviously, as the title says, a significant role. It has certain authorities. The involvement is required for certain activities, transactions, but it comes with an exposure. It comes with an exposure of accountability, legal responsibilities, and that means that a foreign or someone who resides overseas coming to China might get into a situation where he or she might not be able to leave China until a certain matter is resolved, if the authorities do require that. My experience is here that there have been cases that foreigners who reside overseas have been put into that role and had to handle difficult cases. Could be tax liabilities, could be regulatory issues, regulatory incompliances, and were not allowed to leave the country. It puts an enormous burden on these people, and they often don't have the language skills or the knowledge about certain practices, behaviors, that they can handle these cases themselves. It can lead to enormous costs for attorneys who need to help that person to negotiate these situations. What I recommend companies, foreign companies, to do, either if you want someone you trust, a foreign national who works for you for a long time, and where you want that person to have the grip on certain transactions that cannot be done without that person has to reside in China, has to be familiar with how business in China works, a basic knowledge of the tax law, of the relevant regulatory environment, and ideally with sufficient Chinese language proficiency. Only those people have the capability to maneuver within situations where regulators want that person to stay in China until a matter is resolved. Most ideal, from my perspective, is a situation where the person who is a legal representative is a Chinese national who might be the general manager. Now, that person obviously knows the business habits and knows how to negotiate in the socio-cultural context. And also that person knows the operational details that matter. Well, there is a flip side to the medal here. If you have a local general manager or local national who has these significant authorities over your legal entity, it also means that your checks and balances are weakened. You need to find ways to replace the losing authority that you are now confronting with alternative procedures to substitute the governance loss of control you are facing. And that is done by implementing another layer of procedures and internal controls called proxy governance model. The design of that proxy governance model depends on what your company exactly does, the complexity, but it is important that when you have a local general manager who can handle such difficult situations with tax authorities or regulators, that this person then is controlled in its activities when it comes to signing of contracts. If you want to know more about how to deal with such a situation, if you have a foreigner residing overseas being in the role of legal representative, how to replace that situation, who might be the suitable person, and what to change in your governance structure to feel better, that you can sleep at night and not have to worry about transactions being done without your knowledge, reach out to me.